we have to be careful. Just as with the privatization of state assets, we can't jump up and say simplistically, oh, well, the Ukrainian government needs to immediately allow for the sale of agricultural land. You know, just like I hear the simplistic comment all the time, well, the Ukrainian government needs to immediately privatize all the state enterprises. The Ukrainian government is nowhere near being ready to properly provide a legal regulatory framework for an open agricultural land market. There are serious problems that remain to be resolved in titling, inaccurate titling, incomplete titling. There remain serious problems that have to be resolved in the basic cadastre system. The cadastre is incomplete. It's often inaccurate. It's hard to have a market and land when you still have gaps and inaccuracies in cadastre and titling, and the government has effectively done very little to create the proper legal regulatory system that would govern the agricultural land market. And until all of those issues are resolved, they can't go forward on creating a private market in agricultural land. Now, the question always gets asked, well, why don't they do that? Well, you know, Ukraine is a democracy, and there are a lot of politicians who do not think having an agricultural, a private market for agricultural land is a good idea. That's their right. And they have been very effective at, shall we say, scaring or maybe motivating might be a better word, motivating opposition within the general Ukrainian public. Okay, it's pretty easy. It's sort of like populism 101 to stir up the fear of millions and millions of people that your land is going to be stolen, so on and so forth. That's pretty easy to do. And so you don't have as yet a large majority support in the Ukrainian population behind creating an agricultural land market. And, to quote Franklin Roosevelt, to paraphrase Franklin Roosevelt, you can't lead if no one's following you. So the government, the Ukrainian government has always been, and I say this with all due respect, Ukrainian government's always been rather poor at public relations. And so, my first advice to the Ukrainian government is you need to engage your population. And explain to them why a lot of these fears raised by populist politicians are not valid.